The battlefield was silent. Not the calm kind of silence, the heavy kind, the kind that comes after screams have ended and no one is left to answer. Broken metal covered the ground at the edge of the galaxy. Burned ships lay half buried in ash. Tall alien towers had fallen like dead giants. The sky above was dark, filled with drifting smoke and distant stars that did not care what had happened below. Eli walked slowly through the ruins. He was a human medic, not a soldier, not a hero, just someone trained to save lives when wars destroyed them. His armor was scratched and dirty. His medical pack was almost empty. He had already treated too many wounded that day. Most had not survived. Still, he kept moving. He scanned the ruins for any sign of life, a hand, a breath, a sound. Then he heard it, a weak movement, stone shifting, a quiet breath that did not belong to the wind. Eli turned and followed the sound. Behind a collapsed wall, he found her. An alien woman lay against broken metal and stone. Her armor was shattered, glowing faintly in strange colors. Dark blood stained her side and arm. One leg was twisted badly. Her breathing was slow and painful. She was not like any alien he'd seen before. Her armor was different, more detailed, more elegant. Strange symbols were carved into it, glowing softly even as the armor cracked apart. On her head rested a broken crown, split down the center. Ellie did not know what the crown meant. To him she was only one thing, a wounded being who would die if left alone. He knelt beside her. The alien woman's eyes opened slightly. They were sharp, glowing, and filled with danger. She tried to move her hand toward him, but pain stopped her. She expected fear. Most species feared her on sight. Instead, Eli spoke calmly. "Easy," he said quietly. "You're badly hurt. I'm here to help." He opened his medical pack. The alien woman watched him closely. No one touched the queen and lived. That was the rule of the galaxy. Yet here was a human, kneeling at her side, opening tools, not even shaking. Eli carefully removed broken pieces of her armor. Some parts were fused to her skin. He worked slowly, gently, making sure not to cause more pain. His hands were steady. She studied his face. No hatred, no greed, no fear, only focus. Her wounds were deep. One strike had nearly ended her life. Another species would have walked away. Even her enemies would not waste time saving her. Eli cleaned the blood carefully. He sealed deep cuts with advanced human medical gel. He wrapped strong white bandages around her arm and side. She did not stop him. She could have ended his life with one movement. Even wounded, she was still stronger than him, but something stopped her. She felt confused. Why was this human not afraid? Eli finished wrapping the bandages and checked her breathing. "You're going to live," he said softly, "but you need rest." The alien woman said nothing. Her voice, when she tried to speak, would have revealed everything, so she stayed silent. Eli gave her water. She drank slowly. Her eyes never left him. Far above them, deep in space, engines ignited. Entire fleets were moving. Massive alien warships entered the system one by one. Their weapons were charged. Their scanners searched every piece of land. They were hunting, not for enemies, for her, the queen. Eli had no idea. He sat beside the wounded alien woman, guarding her from the cold night wind, unaware that the galaxy itself was closing in. The stars above flickered as ships moved into position. The hunt had begun, and the human medic had just saved the most dangerous being alive. The alien woman did not sleep. She lay still among the ruins, listening to the distant sounds of the planet. The wind moved broken metal. Dust fell from cracked towers. Far away, something heavy struck the ground again and again. Searchers. She knew that sound well. To the galaxy, she was not a wounded stranger. She was Queen Arinth, the strongest warrior the galaxy had ever known. For centuries, her name had ended wars. Armies fell when she walked onto the battlefield alone. Enemy fleets burned when she gave a single command. She did not fear death, because death feared her. She had never lost. Until now. Her mind drifted into memories she did not want. She remembered standing before an enemy army that covered the horizon. Thousands of soldiers, massive machines, War beasts built to kill worlds. She had walked forward alone. Energy blades formed in her hands. Her armor glowed like a star. The battle had lasted minutes. When it ended, nothing remained but silence and ash. That was who she was. But this time, the pain in her body told a different story. Her injury was not from an enemy. It was from betrayal. One of her own commanders had struck her from behind. A trusted voice, a familiar presence. Power meant for protection had been turned against her. That single moment had brought her here. Weak, hidden, alive only because of a human. She turned her glowing eyes toward Eli. He was sitting a short distance away, carefully opening a small food pack. He moved slowly, trying not to disturb her wounds. "You should eat," he said gently, holding the food out. "Your body needs energy to heal." He did not bow. He did not kneel. He did not ask her name. He spoke to her like she was normal. Queen Arendt did not understand that. No one spoke to her without fear. No one stood near her without shaking. No one touched her wounds and lived to remember it. Yet Eli had done all of that. She accepted the food quietly. As she ate, the ground trembled. A deep vibration passed through the ruins. Dust fell from the broken walls. Eli looked around, worried. "That doesn't sound good," he said. Queen Arendt knew exactly what it meant. Alien scouts were landing. Her forces, her guards, if they found her like this, there would be consequences. The human would not survive. In her empire, touching the queen without permission was death. Knowing her weakness was death. Being near her during betrayal was death. Eli had broken all those rules without knowing them. She closed her eyes for a moment. There was one solution. She could end his life. One quick movement. No pain, no witness. The secret would die with him. Her guards would arrive. She would rise again. The galaxy would never know she had fallen. Her hand moved slightly. Eli noticed and froze. "Hey," he said calmly. "I'm not going to hurt you." That was the moment. Not fear. Not begging. Trust. Queen Arendt hesitated. She had killed without emotion before. Millions had fallen by her command. Ending one human life should have meant nothing. But this human had shown her something she had never known. Kindness without power. Help without reward. Respect without fear. She lowered her hand. She would not kill him. The ground shook again, stronger this time. Lights flashed in the sky through broken structures. Engines roared. Eli swallowed. "Whatever's coming," he said, "I'll try to protect you." Queen Arendt almost laughed. Protect her. The strongest warrior in the galaxy. Yet something about his words stayed with her. She pulled her armor closer around her body and stayed silent, hiding who she was for just a little longer. Because for the first time in her long life, she was afraid, not of death, but of what would happen if this human paid the price for saving her. The alien woman healed slowly. The bleeding stopped first. Then the pain softened. Her breathing became steady. The strange glow beneath her skin grew calm again. Eli noticed the change. "That's good," he said quietly. "Your body is strong. Stronger than mine, for sure." He smiled a little as he said it, as if strength did not matter much to him. Queen Arendt watched him from the shadows of the ruins. Strong. That word meant everything in her world. In her empire, strength ruled all things. The strongest commanded. The weakest obeyed. Mercy was seen as weakness. Kindness was dangerous. Yet this human spoke of strength like it was only one small thing. Eli sat beside a broken wall and adjusted his medical tools. "I'm from Earth," he said, speaking gently, as if she were listening even though she had not spoken once. "We're not strong like your people. Our bodies break easily. We don't live very long either." He paused, thinking, "But we help anyway." Queen Arendt's eyes narrowed slightly. "Help anyway?" Eli continued. "I became a medic because I couldn't stand watching people die when I could do something. Even if it doesn't change the war, it changes that one life." One life. The queen had never heard such thinking. In her memory, she saw armies kneeling before her. She saw fear in their eyes. She saw worlds surrender because they knew resistance was useless. No one had ever spoken to her about saving one life. She shifted slightly, testing her strength. Eli noticed and quickly moved closer. "Careful," he said. "You're not ready to stand yet." She lifted her glowing eyes to his. Slowly, deliberately, she let a sharp edge of her power leak out. The air around them grew heavy. The ground beneath Eli's feet cracked slightly. A low sound filled the ruins, like a distant roar. This was a warning. This was what fear felt like to others. Eli froze for a moment. Then he took a slow breath. "If you're angry," he said calmly. "I get it, war does that, but I'm not leaving you." His voice did not shake. Queen Erin felt something break inside her. Not her body, her understanding. She pulled her power back. The ruins fell silent again. Eli relaxed, though his heart was beating fast. He did not know why, but he knew one thing now. She was not ordinary. No normal alien could do what she had just done. "You're important," he said carefully. "Aren't you?" She said nothing. Above them, the sky darkened. Large shadows moved between the stars. Alien warships descended through the clouds, one by one. Their landing shook the land. Bright lights cut through the ruins, scanning everything. Eli's stomach tightened. "They're looking for you," he said. Queen Erin nodded once. That single movement confirmed everything. Eli stood up and looked around. There was nowhere to run, no place to hide for long. Still, he moved closer to her. "If they find you," he said, "they'll have to go through me." Queen Erin stared at him, a human. Weak, small, standing between her and an entire fleet. In her world, such behavior was madness. In his world, it was normal. The ground shook again. Heavy footsteps approached. Alien voices echoed through the ruins. Minutes. They had only minutes. For the first time in her long, violent life, Queen Erin felt fear. Not fear of death. Fear of losing the strange, fragile thing this human had given her. Kindness. The ruins shook as the first alien soldiers arrived. Heavy boots struck the ground in perfect rhythm. Bright white lights cut through the darkness, scanning every broken wall and fallen tower. Strange symbols glowed on their armor as weapons locked into place. They moved fast, precise, ruthless. Eli felt his chest tighten. "They're here," he said quietly. The alien woman did not answer. She tried to rise, but her body failed her. Pain crossed her face for a brief moment before she forced it away. Before Eli could think, he stepped forward. He placed himself between the soldiers and the wounded alien woman. "Stop," he shouted. The alien soldiers raised their weapons at once. Their scanners focused on the figure behind him. Then everything froze. The soldiers stopped moving, weapons lowered. One by one, they dropped to one knee. The ruins fell completely silent. Eli stood there confused, his heart pounding in his chest. What are you doing?" he asked. None of them answered him. Their eyes were not on Eli. They were locked on the wounded alien woman. Fear filled their faces. Respect, awe. Eli slowly turned around. The alien woman pushed herself up with effort. Blood still stained her bandages. Her armor was broken. Her crown cracked. Yet even like this, she looked powerful. She stood tall. The soldiers pressed their fists to their chests and bowed their heads. "Your Majesty," one of them said, his voice shaking. Eli's breath caught. "Your Majesty?" The truth struck him like a blade. "She's the queen," he whispered, "the strongest warrior ever known. The ruler feared across the galaxy. The being entire fleets moved to protect." Eli felt his legs weaken. He looked at the bandages on her arm, at the wounds he had cleaned, at the life he had touched. In his mind, there was only one thought: "I'm dead." He turned back toward the soldiers. "I didn't know," he said quickly. "I swear, I thought she was just injured. I only wanted to help." No one moved, no one spoke. Then the queen lifted her hand. Silence fell like a command. She stepped forward slowly. Each movement showed pain, but her voice was strong. "This human," she said, "saved my life." The soldiers looked up in shock. "He touched you," one officer said carefully. "Without permission. He treated my wounds," the queen replied, "when no one else was there." Eli stared at her. She looked at him, not as a ruler, not as a weapon, but as something else, a protector. "I name him under my protection," she said. From this moment on, the air seemed to break. Murmurs spread through the ranks. A human. Protected by the Queen. Impossible. Unheard of. The Queen raised her voice slightly. He stands where he is because he chose mercy, she said. Not fear, not power. She turned to Eli. You expected death, she said quietly. Eli nodded. So did the galaxy, she replied. The soldiers lowered their heads again, but now their eyes showed something new. Respect. Not for power, for kindness. Eli felt dizzy. The galaxy he barely understood had just changed around him. He had saved a stranger, and that stranger ruled them all. The Queen looked up at the sky, where warships waited in silence. This war will wait, she said. I will decide what comes next. She looked back at Eli one last time. The question hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. The Queen returned to her fleet aboard her flagship. The massive ship hovered above the ruined world like a silent god. Its walls were smooth and dark, filled with power and history. Soldiers lined the halls as Queen Errant entered, walking slowly but with pride. Eli walked beside her. Every eye followed him. Whispers moved through the ship. A human, alive, beside the Queen. Inside the command hall, the generals waited. Tall, armored figures stood in a half-circle, their faces hard and angry. They bowed to the Queen, then turned their eyes toward Eli. This human touched you, one general said coldly. He saw you weak, another added. He should be punished. Eli felt the weight of their words. He stood straight, ready to accept whatever came next. Queen Errant raised her hand. Enough. The room fell silent at once. This human saved my life, she said, when betrayal nearly ended it. One general stepped forward. He broke our laws. He followed his own, the Queen replied. They looked at her in disbelief. Humans are weak, the Queen continued. Their bodies break. Their weapons are small. Their ships are slow. The generals nodded. Yet, she said, her voice growing stronger, when faced with danger, they help anyway. She turned and faced them fully. This human did not know who I was. He expected nothing. He showed mercy when power was useless. The room grew tense. Then the Queen spoke words that would echo across the galaxy. From this moment on, humans are protected. The generals froze. Human compassion, she said, is now respected by law. Shock spread through the command hall. A human saved the strongest warrior alive, the Queen said. That truth cannot be ignored. She turned to Eli. You are offered honor, she said. Power, land, wealth, a place beside me. Eli shook his head. I don't want power, he said quietly. The room grew even quieter. I don't want gold or command, he continued. I just want one thing. He met her eyes. Help the injured, he said. All of them, no matter who they are. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. So, it shall be, she said. Orders were sent across the fleet. Medical ships were deployed. Battle zones were paused. The injured alien and human alike were given aid. Across the galaxy, commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. The Queen had changed the rules. Eli stood alone on the viewing deck later, looking out at the stars. He felt small again, just a human medic in a vast universe. Queen Errant joined him. The galaxy will resist this, she said. They do not accept weakness. Eli smiled softly. We're used to that. She looked at him, thoughtful. You showed me something new, she said. Something stronger than fear. The stars drifted by as ships prepared to move. Far away, messages spread from world to world. The Queen had chosen mercy, and the galaxy was not ready. Years passed. What began on a broken battlefield became a story told across the galaxy. At first, it was only whispers. Soldiers spoke quietly of the day the Queen spared a human. Medics told stories of a time when weapons fell silent, so the injured could be saved. Then the whispers became records. Then history. Wars did not end completely, but they slowed. Armies still moved, but pauses were made. Medical ships were allowed to pass without attack. The red symbol of healing became respected, even feared in a different way. To strike a medic was no longer seen as strength. It was seen as shame. Humans, once ignored or mocked, were now watched with curiosity. They were still physically weak compared to many species. Their ships were still smaller. their weapons still simple. But something had changed. The galaxy had learned that humans did not need power to matter. They needed choice. Eli returned to Earth. He lived quietly. He continued to work as a medic, just as he always had. He treated farmers, children, workers, and travelers. He never spoke much about the Queen or the war. To him, it was just one life he had helped. One day, the sky above Earth changed. Massive ships appeared, peaceful and bright. They hovered gently, not as invaders, but as guests. People gathered in fear and wonder as a single ship descended. Queen Erin stepped onto Earth's soil. She was fully healed now. Her armor shone again, restored and strong. Her presence alone made the air feel heavy with power. Yet, she walked calmly. She asked for Eli. When she found him, he stood waiting, older now, marked by time but steady and alive. They faced each other in silence. Then, before the eyes of humans and aliens alike, the Queen bowed. A ruler feared across the galaxy lowered herself before a human medic. Eli was stunned. "You don't have to do that," he said softly. "I do," she replied. "Because you changed me." She looked at the gathered crowd. "Power can destroy," she said. "I have seen it." She turned back to Eli. "But kindness can rule." The moment spread across the stars. It was recorded, shared, remembered. Children learned the story. In schools, soldiers learned it before their first battle. Commanders studied it in silence. The strongest warrior in the galaxy had been saved by the weakest hands. And because of that, everything changed. Eli returned to his work after that day. He never sought fame. He never wanted statues or titles. He was happy helping one person at a time. Queen Erin returned to the stars, but Earth was never forgotten. When wars threatened to grow again, she remembered the human who stood in front of her armies without fear. When rage rose in her heart, she remembered the calm hands that cleaned her wounds. And the galaxy remembered too. Not the battles, not the fleets, but the choice. That even in a universe ruled by strength, kindness could still win.